afternoon, sir.
Could you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. I'm Detective Francis Kimball.
Where do you work, Detective?
I work in the Financial Crimes Unit of the Breckinridge County Police Department.
Could you give us an idea of your experience in this field?
Well, I've been working in the FCU for the past 11 years, sir. I personally investigated over 300 major crimes, ranging from embezzlement to armed robbery.
I want to talk about your involvement in today's case. How did you come to be involved?
Well, sir, I investigated and arrested the defendant for her part in the incident at Rock the World on August 30th of 2012.
Let's walk through that investigation for the jury. How did it begin?
Well, sir, I was initially at Rock the World to conduct an initial investigation into some financial discrepancies in Rock the World's books. I was meeting with the park's owner about these discrepancies when I heard a scream coming from outside.
What did you do when you heard this scream?
Well, I immediately rushed outside.
Where did you go?
Toward the direction of the scream, sir, the ticket booth.
When you got to that ticket booth, could you tell the jury what you saw?
I saw the park's accountant, Haley Floyd, lying on the ground next to the cash register.
What were you able to tell about that cash register, if anything?
Besides the fact that it was empty, nothing, sir.
You also said you saw the accountant, Haley Floyd, on the ground.
Yes, sir.
Could you describe her demeanor?
She was a wreck, sir. She was crying, trembling, the whole 9 yards. She was also pointing back into the park toward the northwest.
Were you able to see what was in the northwest?
Yes, sir.
What did you see?
There was a chase.
Could you tell who was involved in this chase?
It was Park Security Officer Winston Thomas chasing suspect number 1, Cameron Poole.
Well, so after you saw that the cash register had been empty, that there was some kind of chase going on, and you heard that scream, could you get any more information about what happened from Miss Floyd, the accountant?
I mean, sir, she just kept repeating, stop him, stop him. She also stated that Poole had had the defendant's knife and that he had taken all the money in the register.
After you heard that from Miss Floyd, how did you proceed?
Well, sir, I immediately pursued the two.
Where did they go?
They ran into the entrance of a ride known as the Tunnel of Terror.
Could you describe the Tunnel of Terror in just a little more detail?
Well, it's pretty simple, sir. It's a roller coaster in an enclosed space.
So you said the two of them were going into the Tunnel of Terror. What happened next?
Well, I followed the two of them in there, but as soon as I entered the ride, the lights went out. I heard an impact, followed by several screams.
Were you able to find out what happened to that suspect number 1, Cameron Poole?
Well, sir, Cameron Poole opened an emergency exit door in the back of the ride and escaped to the employee parking lot.
What about Officer Winston Thomas? Could you tell what happened to him?
Sir, he was struck by the ride and hit his head pretty hard on the wall. He was barely breathing by the time I got to him.
To be clear for the members of the jury, did you know Officer Thomas prior to this incident?
I did, sir. Officer Thomas was my father's old partner on the force. He was there the day my dad got shot. He was a great man, sir.
Detective Kimball, did you take any steps to ensure that your knowledge of Officer Thomas didn't compromise your investigation?
Of course, sir. I called for backup in order to make sure my investigation wouldn't be impeded.
Did backup arrive?
Yes, sir. Paramedics and 2 squad cars.
Around when did they get there?
This was a little after 8 o'clock.
What did the paramedics and the squad cars do when they arrived?
While the paramedics tended to Officer Thomas, I had half the squad cars cordon off the park, and I had the other half assist me at the crime scene.
How did they assist you?
Well, they assisted me by helping me conduct interviews, sir.
Let's go ahead and talk about some of the interviews you conducted at Rock the World Amusement Park. Did you ever interview the defendant, Whitney Bowen?
I did, sir. She was the last person I interviewed that night.
Do you see the defendant in court today?
Yes, sir. She's a woman sitting at the end of that table in the black top.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant?
Yes.
So you said you interviewed this defendant. Around when?
I believe it was 9:30 p.m., sir.
Where did you interview the defendant?
Right outside the Tunnel of Terror's operator's booth, where she had been for the previous hour.
Let's Let's talk about how that interview began. What did you ask this defendant?
Well, I started by asking the defendant why she had taken over the ride in the first place.
What was the defendant's response?
So she told me that the ride's usual operator, Billy Isaacs, had asked her to take over his ride.
What happened next?
I asked the defendant why the lights had been turned out.
What was the defendant's response when you asked why the lights on the ride were turned out?
Well, sir, at first she said it was just an accident.
You say at first. What do you mean by that?
Well, sir, she then went on to state that she had tried to turn the ride off in order to make sure that people wouldn't get hurt.
So after she said it was to make sure that people on the ride wouldn't get hurt, what happened?
Well, sir, I was writing down what she said when she said that she was trying to turn the ride off so Cameron Poole wouldn't get hurt.
After the defendant claimed that she was trying to turn that ride off so Cameron Poole wouldn't be hurt, what happened?
Well, sir, at that point, I noticed a cell phone sitting on the control panel of the tunnel of tear, which I proceeded to investigate.
What'd you find?
I noticed that there was only one contact in the phone, a S-CAM. I didn't know what this could have stood for, so I asked the defendant if she knew whose phone this was.
When you asked the defendant whose phone that was, what did she say?
Sir, she denied knowing Cameron Poole well at all, and then also denied ownership of the phone.
I want to take those two claims one at a time. You said that the defendant denied knowing Cameron Poole well at all. Sir, up to that point, had you even mentioned the name Cameron Poole?
No, sir.
Had you asked her any questions about Cameron Poole before she denied knowing him well at all?
Up to that point, sir? No.
Second, you said that she denied the phone was hers. Were you ever able to find out who that cell phone belonged to?
Yes, sir. Minutes after denying ownership of the phone, the defendant admitted that it belonged to her.
After gathering all of this information, Detective, how did you proceed?
I proceeded to arrest the defendant on 3 charges, sir.
Thank you. I have no further questions at this time.